Let's be honest, there are things women secretly want men to do, things they'll never admit out loud because they're afraid of how it sounds. They want control, but not too much. They crave attention, but only from the right man. And sometimes the very things they say they hate are the exact things that make their hearts race. Today, I'm going to expose 7 dirty things women secretly wish men did based on dark female psychology. These aren't about being disrespectful. They're about understanding the primal side of female desire, the side she hides behind politeness, feminism, and words like, I don't like that. Stay till the end because number 7 reveals the core instinct that controls female attraction more than anything else. But before we dive in, let me be clear about something. This isn't manipulation. This isn't about tricking women or being fake. This is about understanding the deep psychological patterns that drive human attraction, patterns that exist whether we acknowledge them or not. The reality is most men go through life completely blind to these hidden desires. They listen to what women say they want, but they ignore what women actually respond to. And that gap between words and reality is where most men lose the game before it even starts. So if you're ready to understand the truth behind female attraction, if you're ready to see past the surface and into the psychology that drives desire, then let's begin. 1. She secretly wants you to take control confidently, not forcefully. Even the most independent woman feels an undeniable attraction toward a man who knows what he wants and takes the lead. She may say she loves equality, and she does, but emotionally, she's drawn to masculine dominance. When you make decisions, guide situations, or lead her with calm confidence, you awaken something primal in her. It's not about control. It's about security. She wants to feel your certainty because it lets her relax into her feminine energy. Think about it this way. Every single day, she makes hundreds of decisions. What to wear, what to eat, how to respond to that email, how to handle that difficult coworker. She's constantly in problem-solving mode, constantly figuring things out. And when she's with you, deep down, she doesn't want to make another decision. She wants to exhale. She wants to trust that you've got this, that you can navigate the moment with clarity and purpose. When you say, I know a great place, let's go there. Instead of, where do you want to go? When you lead her through a crowd with your hand on the small of her back, when you make the call in uncertain moments without hesitation, you're giving her something she can't get anywhere else, the freedom to just be. But here's the key distinction most men miss. Leadership isn't about barking orders or being controlling. It's about being so internally certain that she naturally wants to follow your lead. It's about creating a space where she feels safe enough to surrender her need to control everything. The moment she feels you can handle her world without needing her validation, that's when attraction becomes instinctual. This is why the nice guy who constantly asks for permission, who defers every decision back to her, who seeks approval before taking action, he exhausts her emotionally. Not because he's kind, but because he's adding to her mental load instead of taking it away. True leadership is a gift you give her, the gift of letting her feminine energy flow freely because she trusts your masculine direction. 2, she wants you to tease her playfully, not cruelly. Most men are either too nice or too cold, but women secretly crave the middle ground. A man who can play with her mind just enough to keep her hooked. When you tease her, with confidence and a smirk, you create emotional tension. That tension is addictive. It's what makes her replay conversations in her head at night, because teasing is a form of flirtation that says, I'm not intimidated by you. And that's powerfully attractive. Let me break down why this works on such a deep level. When you tease a woman, you're essentially communicating several things at once. First, you're showing that you're comfortable enough to challenge her, that you're not walking on eggshells around her beauty or her presence. Second, you're creating emotional spikes, little moments of surprise that break the predictable pattern most men follow. And third, you're demonstrating social intelligence, the ability to read the room, to understand boundaries, and to dance right along that edge without crossing it. Women are attracted to men who can handle verbal sparring. Why? Because it shows mental strength. It shows you're not easily thrown off. Balance. It shows you have a personality that can't be intimidated or controlled. Think about the difference between these two responses. is when she says she's running late. Response A, oh, that's okay. No worries at all. Take your time. Response B, let me guess. You changed your outfit 3 times and you're still not happy with it. The first response is safe. It's nice, but it creates 0 emotional charge. The second response, it teases her playfully. It shows you understand her and it makes her smile. Maybe even laugh while she's scrambling to get ready. That small moment of playful tension just made her feel something. And feeling something, even if it's mock offense or playful annoyance, is infinitely better than feeling nothing. But here's the critical boundary. Teasing must come from a place of warmth, not cruelty. There's a massive difference between playful banter and cutting insults. Real teasing says, I see you, I like you, and I am comfortable enough to joke with you. Cruel mockery says, I want to hurt you to feel powerful. Women can tell the difference instantly. One makes her feel alive, the other makes her feel unsafe. Remember, teasing done right builds chemistry faster than compliments ever will because compliments tell her what she already knows. But teasing shows her who you are. 3, she wants to chase you, even if she'll never admit it. Here's a psychological fact. Women value what they earn more than what they're handed. When a man is too available, too eager, or too predictable, she loses interest. Not because she's mean, but because her brain stops producing the thrill of pursuit. The women who say they want a man who gives them everything, they get bored the moment they actually get him. She wants a man who's present but not clingy. A man she has to win over emotionally because when she chases, her desire intensifies. Let me explain the psychology behind this because it goes deeper than most people realize. Human beings, all human beings are wired to pursue what retreats and to retreat from what pursues. This isn't gender specific. It's not manipulation. It's basic human psychology that's been documented for centuries. When something is easily obtained, our brains assign it lower value. When something requires effort, investment, and uncertainty, our brains become obsessed with it. This is why the guy who texts back immediately every single time, who's always free, who drops everything the moment she reaches out, he kills attraction. Not because there's anything wrong with him as a person, but because he's removed all mystery, all challenge, all sense of having to earn his attention. Meanwhile, the guy who has his own life, his own purpose, his own schedule, the guy who sometimes takes hours to respond because he's genuinely busy, he creates natural scarcity. And scarcity triggers the chase response in her brain. She starts thinking about him more. She starts initiating contact more. She starts trying to figure him out, to win his approval, to secure his attention. And here's the beautiful paradox. The less she feels she has you, the more she wants you, the more she has to work for your time and attention, the more valuable that time and attention becomes to her. But again, there's a critical distinction here. This isn't about playing games or being intentionally cold. This is about genuinely having a life that matters to you, a mission, a purpose, goals, passions, things that legitimately demand your time and energy. When you're scarce because you're busy building something meaningful that's attractive, when you're scarce because you're following some pickup artist strategy while actually sitting at home doing nothing, she'll sense the fakeness and it'll repel her. The secret isn't to ignore her, it's to make her earn your attention. That's what makes her crave it, because when a woman has to chase, she invests emotionally. And the more she invests, the more she values what she's pursuing. This is why the relationships where women chase initially often become the ones where they're most devoted long-term because they had to work for it. They assigned it tremendous value, and now they'll fight to keep it. 4, she wants you to have a dark side, just enough to feel dangerous. Women are drawn to contrast. They want the kind man who can also be cold when needed, the protector who can also be feared by others, the gentleman with a dangerous edge. It's psychology. A man's dark side signals strength, unpredictability, and control, qualities her subconscious links to protection and dominance. She'll never tell you this, but when you reveal glimpses of that mystery, when you show you could be dangerous but you choose not to be, that's when she feels both safe and intrigued. Let's talk about why this is one of the most misunderstood aspects of attraction. When women say they want a nice guy, they're telling the truth, but only part of it. They want a man who treats them well, who's kind and respectful, but they also want a man who has the capacity for darkness, for danger, for controlled aggression. He just chooses not to direct it at her. This goes back to evolutionary psychology. For thousands of years, women had to select mates who could protect them and their children from threats. A man who was only gentle, only kind, only soft. He couldn't protect anyone when danger arrived, but a man who possessed strength, who could be fierce when necessary, who had a controlled darkness within him, he could keep her safe. In modern times, this translates to a very specific type of attraction. Women want a man who's a wolf to the world, but a lamb to her. They want to see you handle conflict with other men without backing down. They want to see you set firm boundaries when someone disrespects you. They want a sense that beneath your calm exterior, there's something powerful, something that could be unleashed if needed. But here's what makes this truly attractive. It's not the darkness itself, it's your control over it. Any man can be aggressive, but a man who can be dangerous and chooses restraint, that's mastery. A man who can dominate but chooses gentleness with her, that's power. This is why women are drawn to reformed bad boys, to men with troubled past who found peace, to guys who have intensity in their eyes but kindness in their actions. It's the contrast that's intoxicating. She feels safe because you're gentle with her, but she also feels excited because she knows there's more to you, something deeper, something darker, something that only she gets to see glimpses of. Darkness isn't about aggression, it's about depth. And the deeper you go, the stronger her fascination becomes. Show her you have layers. Show her you're not one-dimensional. Show her that you contain multitudes, light and dark, strength and gentleness, danger and safety. That complexity is magnetic. 5. She wants you to ignore her just a little. Sounds twisted, right? But it's true. If you give her constant attention, she feels smothered. But when you pull back, when you don't text first, when you seem busy living your own life, her mind starts working overtime. She starts wondering, what's he doing? Who's he with? Why hasn't he reached out? That mystery triggers emotional tension, and tension creates attraction. It's not about playing games, it's about balance. You're showing that your life doesn't revolve around her, and that's what makes her want to be part of it. Now, before anyone misunderstands this, let me clarify what I mean. This isn't about being intentionally cold or playing manipulative games where you calculate exactly how long to wait before responding to seem cool. This is about genuine independence. When you have a life you're genuinely excited about, hobbies, goals, friendships, purpose, you naturally won't be glued to your phone waiting for her messages. You'll respond when you're available, not the instant she reaches out. You'll have evenings where you're busy with your own activities. You'll have days where she doesn't hear from you because you're deeply engaged in something meaningful. And ironically, that natural unavailability makes you infinitely more attractive than forced availability ever could. Here's why this works psychologically. Attention is a form of value. When you give your attention freely, constantly, without any filter, you're essentially communicating that your attention isn't valuable. But when your attention is scarce, when it has to be earned, when it's clearly going toward important things, it becomes precious. And people, especially women, crave what they perceive as precious. Think about it from her perspective. If you're always available, she unconsciously thinks he has nothing better to do than wait for me. But if you're sometimes unavailable, she thinks he has a life that matters. I wonder what he's doing. That shift in perception changes everything. She goes from feeling like she has you figured out to wondering about you. From feeling secure in your constant attention to feeling slightly uncertain, that uncertainty creates emotional investment. When you're slightly unpredictable, she invests emotionally because her ego wants to earn back your focus. The key word there is slightly. You can't disappear for weeks or be completely inconsistent. That's not attractive. That's just unreliable. But being someone who has a rich, full life that sometimes takes priority over constant communication, that's incredibly attractive because it shows you're a man with options, with purpose, with a life worth living. And now she wants to earn her place in that life. 6, she wants you to tell her no. Most men think Saying yes to everything will make her happy. Wrong. A woman secretly respects a man who sets boundaries. When you tell her no calmly without anger, you show her that you're not controlled by her approval. It's one of the darkest truths in female psychology. A man who can walk away rarely needs to. Saying no doesn't make you cruel. It makes you powerful because it shows you're emotionally independent, not desperate for her validation. Let me explain why this might be the most important point of all. Most men enter relationships as approval seekers. They want to be liked, to be accepted, to be chosen. And there's nothing wrong with that desire. It's human. But when that desire becomes desperate, when you'll do anything to avoid conflict or disapproval, when you sacrifice your own boundaries just keep her happy, you stop being attractive. Because women aren't actually attracted to men they can control. They're attracted to men they can't. When you say no to something that doesn't work for you, when you hold firm on your values, even if it risks disappointing her, when you prioritize your own needs and boundaries without apology, you're demonstrating something crucial: self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of all attraction. A woman might test this. She might push boundaries to see if you'll hold them. She might ask for something unreasonable to see if you have the spine to refuse. She might create drama to see if you'll cave under pressure. And when you don't, when you remain calm, grounded, and firm in your no, her respect for you skyrockets because you've just proven you can't be manipulated. You've proven your frame is stronger than hers. You've proven you have standards and you'll enforce them. This is why nice guys who never say no, who bend over backward to please, who sacrifice everything for female approval, they rarely get the girl. And when they do get her, they don't keep her respect. Because a woman can't respect a man who doesn't respect himself enough to have boundaries. Every time you stand your ground, you become more attractive because she's not just drawn to your body, she's drawn to your backbone. So, start saying no when it's appropriate. No, I won't cancel my plans to accommodate you at the last minute. No, I won't tolerate being spoken to that way. No, that's not something I'm willing to do. Watch what happens. Watch how her respect grows. Watch how the dynamic shifts because the man who can walk away is the man she'll work to keep. 7. She secretly wants to feel owned emotionally, not physically. Here's the part most men never understand. Women don't want control over everything. They want to surrender to someone who's worthy of their trust. She wants a man who makes her feel claimed, not through force, but through presence. When you lead with certainty, protect her energy, and make her feel like she's yours, you're giving her the emotional intensity she craves, but fears to admit. This is where attraction transforms into devotion. Because deep inside, she wants a man who can emotionally own her heart, not by dominance, but by depth. This final point is perhaps the most controversial, but it's also the most powerful. In an age where independence is praised and vulnerability is sometimes seen as weakness, women still crave the feeling of belonging to someone. Not in a possessive, controlling way, but in a deep, primal, emotional way. She wants to feel like she's yours, like you've claimed her heart so completely that the thought of anyone else doesn't even register, like you're her person and she's your person. And that bond is unbreakable. This goes beyond attraction. This is about connection. When you show her that you see her, truly see her beneath all the masks and defenses, when you understand her fears and accept her darkness along with her light, when you create such emotional safety that she can be completely vulnerable with you, that's when she surrenders. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. This kind of emotional ownership comes from consistency, from showing up when it's hard, from protecting her heart as fiercely as you'd protect her body, from making her feel so secure in your commitment that she never has to question where she stands. And when a woman feels emotionally owned by a man she trusts and respects, her loyalty becomes unshakable because you've given her something rare. The freedom to fully surrender her heart, knowing it's in hands that will cherish it. The moment she feels she can lose herself in your presence, she's already yours, even if she never says it out loud. Now you know the 7 dirty things women secretly wish men did. Not dirty in the physical sense, but in the psychological sense that stirs emotion, dominance, and desire. Women will never say these things out loud because they don't want to be judged. But if you learn to read between the lines, you'll see that everything they claim to hate is often exactly what attracts them the most. Understanding these principles isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding human nature at its deepest level. When you lead with confidence, when you set boundaries, when you maintain your independence while also creating deep emotional connection, you're not playing games. You're simply being the kind of man that women naturally gravitate toward. The kind of man who understands that attraction isn't logical, that desire isn't politically correct, that the heart wants what it wants, regardless of what society says it should want. So take these principles and apply them with integrity. Use them to build genuine connections, not to manipulate or control. Understand that real power in relationships comes from being authentic, grounded, and unshakable in who you are. If you enjoyed this breakdown of dark female psychology, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss these weekly truths. And hey, don't stop here. Check out the other videos on this channel for more psychological secrets, emotional control techniques, and attraction mastery. Because once you understand the hidden side of female desire, you'll never look at women the same way again. And more importantly, you'll never see yourself the same way. You'll understand your own power, your own value, and how to show up as the man women secretly dream about but rarely find. Until next time, stay strong, stay authentic, and remember, the best version of you is the one women can't resist.